In the top right is NoisE, still as the orange Terran. In the bottom left is Action, as the blue Terran. Alright. So yeah, NoisE is just really good at Outsider. It really works well with constant dropship harass. And in his other games, both versus Protoss and Terran, he just doesn't do the dropship harass. And while dropship harass is obviously stronger on Outsider than it is on other maps, it's not exclusive to Outsider. You can do that kind of dropship harass on any map. Aww. Thanks. Thanks, you guys. Oh, it feels so special. Alright, 1 second. Sorry. I didn't even watch. I watched so little of the Hybrid Pro League. Like, I watched the first day. I watched day 1 of Hybrid Pro League. And after that I was just like, no. I don't want to. It just isn't right. These games are pretty bad. The StarCraft 2 games are even worse. It's just not worth it. There will probably be a couple of good games throughout the season, but it's not worth watching all of this just in hopes of finding those 2 good games. So I don't know if they turned out to have many good games, but apparently a lot of people weren't happy about it, so I made the right decision in not watching. It seemed like, in the games that I watched, so I probably watched a grand total of like 5 StarCraft Brood War games. In all those games, it just seemed like players just default to do an all-in. Not a super cheesy all-in, but just, if it was Terran, they 2-facted. If it was Zerg, they just 2-edge muted. Protoss just attacked with 2 gates against any race. And it was just kind of going back to the very, very basics of StarCraft, really not thinking about it at all. And it's like, well, shit. I mean, foreigners are putting up better games than this, and I'm not going to be going up at all hours of the night to watch games that are not better than foreigner games. And there obviously were some games that didn't have that, but it was just games I didn't see. And I knew eventually one would come, but it wasn't worth it to me to watch all that to try to find those couple games that were actually good. Alright. So, both players the factory first. Both players building vultures. There we go. Getting down the command center. Yeah, both players actually building 2 vultures before machine shop, and then potentially not even then. We did... excuse me. Both players scouted cross first. Kind of interestingly. So, NoisE knows where he's going with his vultures and his marines. Not going to have any success though, as it's again mirror builds. And with that second vulture out from action, he really doesn't need to worry. Throwing on the machine shop now does put him in just a slight bit of jeopardy. That maybe NoisE can first win this battle and then get in and do damage with the, excuse me, and do damage with the tanks. Possibly. No, damage with the vultures before the tank comes out. That's what I wanted to say. Alright. So NoisE is going to get a little something here. Not a whole much. Alright, so the entire chat's talking about that, and not about the opening stages of a TBT. Like, that's probably... I find I don't find StarCraft 2 interesting in and of itself, but I find everything that's not the actual game interesting. So, like, I watch all the talk shows for StarCraft 2, and I really don't care about the results, but I find things like how the leagues are interacting to be interesting, about how they're managing all that. And yeah, it's kind of funny how simultaneously we can have, like, it's really weird what's considered good. Because you can have, like, the top Korean teams, and they're just, like, folding left and right and have absolutely no money, and people are realizing, holy shit, they're just pretty much enslaving their players, and we can totally buy them for, like, a taquito, and they're just going to immediately accept it and join our team because they haven't had food in 3 months. And then you have, like, the Kespa teams, which are like these beacons of stability and money, yet all of a sudden there's only like 5 of them now. I think there's only 5 left, and one of them is Teammate, doesn't have a sponsor, and one of them is STX, which, like, that's got to be the next one to go. STX almost folded when it was a Brood War team. It's like, it's not going to live much longer as a StarCraft 2 team. And then it's just going to be KT, SKT, Teammate, CJ? Is that it? Oh, and Khan. My bad, there's 6 left. I forgot about Khan. Wait, there are 5 left? There's STX, Khan, SKT, KT, 8, and CJ. That's 6. Is one of those already close? Teammate's gone? Well, okay. I didn't want to jump the gun on that, but yeah, it was pretty apparent when they didn't find a sponsor that's not going to be around for too much longer. I mean, honestly, it's like, it's Jaedong, and then other people that no one cares about. And like, and before people start saying, oh yeah, I'm a really big Jaehoon fan, because for some reason people might be Jaehoon fans, but really, it's Jaedong and a bunch of people that no one cares about. Okay, Baby. Yeah, you're gonna go with Baby. Baby's a sad story, because it's like we didn't get to see what Baby could do, because he's only like 16 now. I mean, maybe he's 17. And it's like, oh, well, now it's StarCraft 2, so no one cares about you. Man. And it's actually really funny now that Kespa was such a dick to Gom during the Gom Leagues days back in 2008 or 2009 or whatever, and just completely boycotted them and tried to shove them out of the market, and then were successful, and all of a sudden they have to play nicely with Gom. It's like, that relationship can't last. I don't see that happening at all. NoisE, he took out the side disruptors there, but wasn't able to make anything happen. Now going in for drops with the tanks. Yeah, they resolved their problems for now. We'll see how long that lasts. But I mean, they resolved their problems at first, then all of a sudden both leagues just immediately stood up and said, we're boycotting each other's leagues. And then it all went away like a week later. And it's like, that doesn't happen. You don't go from both people declaring Cold War on each other and not communicating at all to niceties in the course of 1 week and say that's a stable relationship. is like, there's some serious fucked upness. Alright. Interesting. NoisE took his third here, and not... He-Man, come on, be looking at this drop. He took... Alright, gonna get out of there. It's surprising that NoisE took this gas base instead of just going after the mineral only, where the mineral only is a lot safer. You don't have to deal with this bullshit from vultures. So I'm a little bit surprised that he didn't take that instead. I mean, NoisE hasn't been scared of building too many vultures at this point. So getting one mineral only is not bad at all. Assuming that this doesn't block. Maybe that control tower does block. Alright. So, going in with another 6 tanks, where exactly is he going to be dropping them? Alright, now right on top of the mines. Good. Trying to find a sweet spot. It's a pure tank drop, so he does need to be a little bit careful. And there we go, the tanks are dropped. The SCVs already have a nice surround on the tanks, so the tanks are going to be able to do a good amount of damage, but they're not sieged up, so there's no splash necessarily. Tanks don't have armor upgrades, so SCVs, I mean, 4 damage a shot isn't terrible here. And now the siege tanks are in siege mode, so they can start attacking opponents' tanks. But that tank's going to die. Alright. So, took out a whole mess of SCVs, but didn't take out a whole lot of tanks. Probably coming out a little bit ahead, but not ridiculously ahead. Normally in cases like that, the drop works because you kill some SCVs, like 5 or 6, and then you manage to trade your 4 tanks for 4 of their tanks. And then it's 4 tanks for 4 tanks and 5 SCVs. Awesome, good trade. In that case, he didn't get those tanks at the end, so... And he did send 6 of his own tanks, which is a pretty substantial drop. So... maybe it's not quite worth as many SCVs as he got. Alright. So, NoisE is going to get completely crushed here by action, and that's the issue with the drops. When you go in and you do drops and get economic damage, it's like, great, you did economic damage. He won't have tanks like 5 minutes from now. But right now, he has lots of tanks, and you just threw away 6. And then you have an engagement like this, because you're down 6 tanks, where you throw away another 7. And then you find yourself on the wrong end of the stick, in terms of army size. The NoisE is macroing up pretty well. Well, I mean, he has a bigger army at least, not macroing terribly well. Alright. So, yet another drop from NoisE. Drops are increasing in intensity. This SCV just been getting horribly, horribly sick this entire time. And are the drops just going to challenge the turrets? 3 turrets. Can be kind of formidable. He's probably going to lose 1. It looks like he's bringing back the injured ones. Smart move here. He doesn't actually drop with all of them, though. He needs to drop. Oh! NoisE! He knew what he was doing, bringing back the injured dropships, but because he didn't drop anything out of the 2 injured ones, he's gonna end up losing them anyway before they can drop. Oh, NoisE. Alright. So, drop going in. Drop, despite the fact that he lost half of it in the dropship, it will, or not half of it, but a third of it in the dropship, it will be relatively effective here. His tanks come in. He still needs to clean up these 2 tanks, and he got them. Reinforcements coming in from Action. Ooh, and Action blowing up his own supply depot to, excuse me, blowing up his own supply depot to get back to defend. Interesting. Also kind of interesting that in this game, we've seen, for a TVT series, this is now game 3, we have not seen any kind of map control, really. It's just been NoisE doing lots and lots of drops this game and the last game, and then the first game, it was kind of silliness. But if Action had wanted to in game 1, he could have totally just dominated the map and won that way. But instead, he decided not to. Alright. So, apparently the control tower did in fact block it, and this command center is just going to be placed off. Excuse me, just placed off. It's fine. Science facility done for NoisE, probably for +2 attack. Indeed, researching +2 attack now. Action, probably not going to get a whole lot out of this aggression here, but he's going to try. Mines blow up everything there with the exception of these couple tanks. Just kind of left over from Action. NoisE with a few tanks of his own could finish off this here. The Vulture's gonna be able to lay mines. Well, it laid a mine, but mine not terribly effective. All right. Now, Action with a little bit of an attack up at the top here is not going to do anything. It does distract NoisE to a certain extent, allowing Action to get in and kill off a whole mess of SCVs. You saw the multi-kill set 11. Might have been a little bit more because I think a couple SCVs are killed after that. But forces NoisE to float off. And now NoisE still on 4 bases. Or 3 bases, if you don't count the main. Still not in a bad position here. But good for Action. Excuse me, good for Action. Taking out one of the bases, doing good economic damage without costing him a whole lot. And really, that's just a product of lack of map control. NoisE shouldn't have a problem against an attack from Action like that, but just because he doesn't have any map control, Action's able to move in and do stuff like that. Granted, Electric Circuit's one of the hardest maps to have map control on, just because it's so damn big and there's so many odd paths. It's just a nightmare to try to control. But, I mean, if you can manage to tame it, there's obviously good rewards to be had. Alright. And again, lack of map control means that NoisE has moved his entire army away from this 5th base. I believe this one was his 5th. So he's going to lose that as well. Another 10 SCVs dying. And the command center forced to lift off. Means NoisE now is only on 2 bases. Well, 3 bases because he replanted this one down. Alright. Well, Action's going to throw away a lot of units here. Like a lot of units. What? Did he just want to move here and assume that there weren't tanks? Like, that was a horrible engagement. 100 supply for NoisE. Still 97 for action. Despite any engagement that happens, the players are staying relatively even. And NoisE has switched to Wraith production. Now, there are a bunch of turrets around. Pretty much every base except for this one, as those were taken out a while ago. So it might be hard for the Wraiths to do any real harass, but might be able to find something out in the middle of the map if there's a pocket of tanks that don't have Goliath support. If you're not careful, just 3 Goliaths, or 4 Goliaths can take out 2 Wraiths like that very quickly. Wait, what? Why is he remaking a barracks? He has, like, more factories than he can produce off of right now. Especially if you consider he's going double starport. I don't see why it's necessary to build more factories. And, like, I mean, he's not throwing down the covert ops. It's not for ghosts. Ooh, nice mine hit. Man, this is like the opposite of a TVT match. I mean, like, it's long, so not that, but other than that, it's not methodical at all. It's not elegant, it's not grand strategy, it's just 2 dudes punching each other back and forth and just trading blows. It's a PvP. This is just a PvP. It's both players build shit and then they throw their shit at the other person, and then they build more shit and they kind of just throw their shit. It's a lot of shit throwing, which is how PvPs are. PvPs are nothing but throwing shit. So, once again, I mean, this is very PvP. Replace 10 vultures with a storm drop. Exact same shit's gonna happen. It's exactly the same thing. Like, this is a PvP. It's a PvP that NoisE is winning, because he's 40 supply ahead now. Alright, what are we looking at for upgrades? Armory? Armory. Not getting any upgrades, and only at 1-0. That's a pretty bad mistake in TVT to not get any more upgrades than just +1. It's 23 minutes in. NoisE at least has +2. He has the bare minimum to be good in TVT. And you're gonna see, he's gonna win a lot of these tank fights without too much difficulty. Vulture's going in for another storm drop. Good stuff. I'm going to accomplish exactly what a storm drop does. Alright. So, we have another add-on? Does NoisE want to go drop ships? I guess he wants to transition back into dropship play. He's done with the Wraiths. It's kind of a weird time to transition to Wraiths. You really only go for Wraiths as this is the final thing I'm going to do. Wraiths are the very last transition. And if you got a half-ass it, like NoisE did, this is just worthless. Didn't get you a whole lot. Goliaths are going to continue to shoot at the command center. They do manage to get it on fire. Meanwhile, NoisE going in for another storm drop. Storm drop. And he stormed the left side instead, or the right side instead of the left side. There were more SCVs on the left side if he had stormed that side. Would have been a little better off, but whatever. He got like 5 kills on that Templar. Yo, if I keep doing that, somebody's gonna come into the chat and be like, What the fuck, man? That's not Templar. Don't you know anything about StarCraft? I didn't catch the first part, so I should probably stop doing that. That is a very dangerously placed mine. It's like, oh, damn, that mine. How did that mine not go off? Where there are dudes on this side of it and dudes on this side of it. I don't even know. Mines. So, NoisE expanded not once, not twice, but 3 times in the bottom right here. And that is where he is taking his fortune. He's just going to commit a lot of units to bottom right and try to hold them off to get those expansions. Perfectly reasonable. Absolutely reasonable. Meanwhile, we have Action now going for that kind of half-assed Wraith transition. I'm guessing it won't work for him either. Indeed, the other control tower was for more dropships, and he has a fleet of 5 up to this point. Oh, well, I guess, like, way after he started making Wraiths, the Wraiths are finally going to be useful here. And take out a few tanks before the Goliaths are able to get up there. That's a couple of them. Oh, nice. Mine hitting 2 tanks. Alright. Interesting. Taking out his own disruptors. Really doesn't need them there to defend, so I'm not sure why he needs to... Oh, so he can transfer SCVs out. I see. Alright. Well, I'm close to being mined out at these bases. We have NoisE with 1 base here, almost mined out. Then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 bases. On the other hand, Action, 1 almost mined out, 2 almost mined out, with 3? Actually, that one's kind of close to mining out too. 3 almost mined out and 1 healthy one. So as long as NoisE stalls, doesn't let Action take another base, should be fine for him. Wraith transition? Working out a little bit. Picking off a couple of tanks before the Goliaths can get back there because there's a little bit of a roadblock for them to get around. Oh, and cloaking up, trying to get something. Alright, making a little bit of use out of the Wraiths. Not bad. Not bad, now coming back and killing more tanks. So I guess Action is actually going to get his money's worth out of building those Wraiths. He's killed about 5 or 6 tanks now, which is good enough, along with a couple SCVs. NoisE on the other side of the map going for an attack. This is open, so if he wants to come up this direction, he can. Or he can just come down and attack Action's best mining base. Either way. Meanwhile, tanks on the other side force command center to lift, picking off SCVs. Again, man, there's no control in this CBT. It is just a slugging match back and forth between these two players. And Action had a huge deficit to overcome, but he's oh man. NoisE, the mines. Oh, that saved this base. Like, all these SCVs should be dead. All of those SCVs should be dead right now, and the command center should be flying away. That was huge. That was huge. And the tanks, they weren't on A move because of the supply depot. At least I'm pretty sure that was why they weren't on A move. Alright. So, Action's committing even more of these wraiths, and I mean, if NoisE isn't gonna defend with his Goliaths, I guess it's pretty solid here. Action does need to run away now, because now half his wraiths aren't firing, or just cloak up, because NoisE doesn't have scan. Apparently, he does have scan, which makes me question why Action stuck around there. Alright, and we do have NoisE trying to confront Action here. Both players with huge tank forces on either side of the bridge. Actually, the tank force is getting very close to each other. So we're going to have a complete trade, or at least a complete engagement. Well, all the Goliaths are dead. So the few wraiths remaining are going to be able to pick off all the tanks once again. 3-1 compared to just 1-0. Action, without those attack upgrades, is really hurting him in the big fights like that. You saw that NoisE had a huge advantage in that fight once it started. But after it got towards the end, it was really just these wraiths that managed to make it so it's like, well, yeah, there are still 10 tanks over here, but let me clean this up for you. Alright, NoisE almost mined out at here, but mining out's not an issue for NoisE. Because 1, 2, 3. It's good enough for NoisE. Potentially for the rest of the game. It's Action who could potentially mine out. And he has 1, 2, 3. But this one's mining out. Alright. Wow. They have almost identical mineral counts. In that they were both like above 4K and now both above 3K. With that push, though, NoisE cleaned up the last of the tanks and is now threatening once again to take out this expansion from Action. Is it going to happen this time? Trying to lay mines, and those mines are going to be able to hit. And yes, the Vulture was just barely too close to the tank, so it will live with 2 health and manage to pick off the tank. Ugh. Oh. Apparently there are just 3 vultures waiting here. Like, as soon as an SCV pops out, we are going to murder that fucker. And then they did. So, mission accomplished. Alright. So, siege tanks sieging up once again. Once again, we're just going to be slugging back and forth as NoisE is able to take out another base without too much resistance from Action. Sending in a couple of tanks at the end there, but really not doing a whole lot. And now taking out a bunch of Action supply depots. Action does not have a huge excess of these, so that's gonna cap him his supply a little bit here. I mean, it's going to give him a 140 cap. And with this base still safe. That base still safe, and this base safe. Action's in 2 bases. 2 bases compared to 3, if not 4, depending on when that one gets up. Oh! Here we go. We're the ghosts. Nina's already fucking selected it. She found the covert ops before I did. I don't see a nuke silo. I don't see ghosts making. I don't see the covert ops flashing. Alright, so, action. Just gonna go and harass some vultures here. Completely kill off all of NoisE's economy. Meanwhile, NoisE killing off all of Action's economy. Again, no control in this, just slugging. Back and forth, and back and forth, and back and forth, and... no, only one activation of mines. These vultures will probably go up here and attack that, but I don't think he realizes that it extends that far up. Oh, there we go, cloak. Okay, we have cloak. It's one thing. Dude, you looking for cloak, or for lockdown, or for a nuke silo, or just for the ghost? In fact, I'm gonna do this. Does he have a ghost? Oops. I don't want to look at Nina's Zerg. Okay, ghost. There is a ghost somewhere on this map. Fuck. Ah, found him! Found you, Mr. Ghost. Alright. So, Mr. Ghost, about to have cloak. I wish I could hotkey this unit. Just like Control 0. And then I could spam 0 and instantly find him. But no, I'm not allowed to do that. Okay, got cloak. We get in a nuke silo. Nuke silo? Nuke silo? Nuke silo? Nuke silo? Nuke silo? You have too many goddamn commands on there for me to check all of them to see if you're getting a freaking nuke silo. Oh, he cloaked! He cloaked, he's moving in! What is he gonna do? What is he gonna do? He's thinking. He's thinking. There's a nuke! Where the hell's your nuke silo? There's your nuke silo! You put it in a command center that wasn't actually mining! Oh, NoisE. Oh, fuck. Well, that's lame. Fuck you, Action. You're gonna lose this game anyway. It's fucking 119 supply compared to 176. You're gonna lose. Let us get our nuke. Alright. Are we remaking Nuke and Ghost? Doesn't look like it. Oh, that's a shame. I don't know why NoisE put the Ghost there. If he had put it closer to the tanks, at least like the tanks would splash themselves when they scanned. It would have done like a little something. Or he could have put the Ghost farther away so potentially Action could miss with the scan. But putting the Ghost there, it's like the worst place he could have put it. I'm just saying. Alright. So Action just kind of going for another attack, because that's what we do in this TVT. We just kind of attack. But it's not working out at all. Like, not even a little. And there we go. GG from Action. NoisE up 2-1. I like that difference. Boom. NoisE with the structure advantage. Alright. I have not done a times forecast in a little while. I think now is a really good time for a times forecast.